Nobody gave you a manual for life. You were born. You grew up. You went to school. They taught you calculus and the periodic table and who won what war when. But nobody taught you how life actually works. Nobody gave you the operating principles. Nobody explained the game you're actually playing. So you're out here guessing, figuring it out as you go, making expensive mistakes, learning lessons the hard way, wasting years on paths that lead nowhere, believing things that aren't true, playing by rules that don't exist, and wondering why it's so hard. It's hard because you're operating without a manual. You're trying to win a game without knowing the rules. You're building a life without understanding the principles. And that's not your fault, but it is your problem. This is your manual, the one they should have given you but didn't. The operating principles for life that actually work. The real rules. The truth they don't teach in school because school isn't designed to prepare you for life. It's designed to prepare you for tests. What you should have learned. There are fundamental principles that govern how life works. Not theories. Not philosophies. Not opinions. Principles. Laws of reality that are true whether you believe them or not. Like gravity. You can deny gravity exists. You can decide you don't like gravity. But if you step off a building, gravity doesn't care about your opinions. Life has similar laws. Principles that determine outcomes. And most people never learn them. So they violate these principles constantly and then wonder why their life is hard. They plant the wrong seeds and wonder why they're not getting the right harvest. They ignore the operating principles and then blame external circumstances when things don't work. Here's what you should have learned but didn't. You should have learned that time is your most valuable resource, and most people waste almost all of it. You should have learned that your environment programs you more than your willpower can overcome. You should have learned that compound interest applies to everything, not just money. Your habits, your relationships, your skills, your health, all of it compounds. You should have learned that most of what society tells you to want will make you miserable if you get it. You should have learned that nobody is coming to save you. That comfort is the enemy of growth. That hard conversations are better than slow resentments. That you can't hate yourself into a version of yourself you love. That discipline is freedom, and freedom without discipline is just chaos. You should have learned that most people are operating on autopilot with programming they didn't choose and never questioned. That the crowd is usually wrong. That easy choices create hard lives, and hard choices create easy lives. That you become what you do repeatedly, not what you intend to do someday. But they didn't teach you any of this. So here we are. Why this manual exists. This isn't another self-help book telling you to think positive and believe in yourself. This isn't philosophical theory that sounds nice but doesn't work in practice. This isn't oversimplified 3 steps to success nonsense that ignores how complex life actually is. This is an operating manual, a guide to the actual principles that govern outcomes in the real world. Money, relationships, meaning, success, happiness, health, all of it. The principles that determine whether you win or lose, whether you thrive or just survive, whether you build a life you love or just endure one you tolerate. These principles come from multiple sources: evolutionary psychology, game theory, behavioral economics, philosophy, and most importantly, observation of what actually works. Not what should work in theory. What works in reality, for real people, in the real world. Some of this will contradict what you've been taught. Some will be uncomfortable. Some will challenge beliefs you've held for years. Good. If everything here just confirmed what you already think, this manual would be useless. The point isn't to make you comfortable. The point is to give you truth. And truth is often uncomfortable. How to use this manual. This isn't a book you read once and put on a shelf. This is a reference. A manual you return to when you're facing specific challenges, when you're making big decisions, when you're stuck and don't know why, when you need to recalibrate. Each chapter covers a fundamental area of life. Read them in order the first time. They build on each other. But after that, use them as needed. Facing a money problem? Chapter 2. Relationship confusion? Chapter 3. Lost sense of meaning? Chapter 5. Jump to what you need when you need it. More importantly, apply this. Reading without application is entertainment, not education. After each chapter, there's an action section. Do it. Actually do it. Theory without practice is worthless. Practice is what transforms understanding into results. The promise. If you understand and apply the principles in this manual, your life will change. Not might change. Will change. Because these aren't opinions or preferences. They're operating principles. They work. They've always worked. They'll keep working. You'll make better decisions because you'll understand the principles that determine outcomes. You'll avoid most of the traps that catch people because you'll see them coming. You'll build wealth, relationships, health, and meaning more effectively because you'll be operating according to how things actually work instead of how you wish they worked. This is the manual they never gave you, but you have it now. What you do with it is up to you. Let's begin. Chapter 1. How life actually works. Life operates on principles. Unchanging rules that determine outcomes. Most people don't know these principles, so they violate them constantly and then wonder why life is hard. This chapter covers the fundamental operating principles, the rules of the game you're actually playing. Principle 1. You get what you optimize for. Life gives you exactly what you optimize for. Not what you say you want. Not what you wish for. What you actually optimize for through your daily choices and behaviors. If you optimize for comfort, you get comfort, and weakness, and stagnation, and regret. Because optimizing for comfort means avoiding difficulty, and difficulty is where growth lives. If you optimize for pleasure, you get pleasure, and addiction, and emptiness. Because pleasure is fleeting and becomes the baseline, requiring more and more stimulation to feel anything. If you optimize for status, you get status, and anxiety, and dependence on others' opinions. Because status is relative and unstable, requiring constant maintenance and defense. If you optimize for security, you get security, and limitation, and missed opportunities. Because security requires avoiding risk, and everything worth having involves risk. Most people optimize for the wrong things because they never consciously chose what to optimize for. They just absorb society's default programming. Be comfortable, seek pleasure, pursue status, prioritize security. And then they wonder why they're comfortable but unfulfilled, secure but limited, successful by society's standards but empty inside. You need to consciously choose what you're optimizing for, because you'll get it, and everything else will be sacrificed in the pursuit. Choose wisely. Most people optimize for things that don't actually make them happy, and then wonder why happiness eludes them. Principle 2. Compound interest runs everything. Compound interest isn't just a financial concept. It's how everything in life works. Small actions repeated over time create exponential results. In both directions. Your habits compound. Do something once, minimal impact. Do it daily for a year. Transform life. Read for 30 minutes daily. In 5 years, you've consumed more knowledge than most people learn in a lifetime. Exercise for 30 minutes daily. In 2 years, your body is completely different. Write for an hour daily. In a year, you have a book. But it works in reverse too. Skip 1 workout. No impact. Skip 100. You're out of shape. Eat 1 unhealthy meal. Nothing changes. Eat unhealthy every day for a year. Your health is destroyed. Tell one small lie. Relationship is fine. Lie consistently. Trust is gone and relationship is dying. Most people vastly overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and vastly underestimate what they can accomplish in a year with consistent daily action. They try to change everything at once, fail, and quit, instead of changing one thing and compounding it. The most powerful question you can ask: what small action, done daily, would transform my life in a year? Then do that. Daily. Without exception. Let it compound. This is how you build anything meaningful. Not through massive occasional efforts. Through small consistent actions compounded over time. Principle 3. Your environment beats your willpower. You think you're in control. You think willpower and discipline determine your outcomes. They matter, but they lose to environment every time. Your environment is constantly programming you. The people you're around most shape your thoughts, your standards, your beliefs about what's possible, your habits, your behaviors. The content you consume shapes your worldview, your values, your aspirations. The systems you've built or haven't built shape your actions more than your intentions. You can willpower your way through anything for a while, but eventually environment wins. If you're trying to eat healthy while surrounded by junk food, willpower loses. If you're trying to be ambitious while surrounded by people who mock ambition, willpower loses. If you're trying to build a business while in an environment that demands your time for low-value activities, willpower loses. The solution isn't more willpower. It's better environment. Design your environment so the default path is the right path. Remove temptation instead of resisting it. Surround yourself with people who have the standards you want instead of constantly fighting to maintain different standards. Build systems that make good choices automatic instead of relying on deciding correctly every time. Your willpower is finite. Your environment is constant. Design environment. Win by default. Principle 4. Reality doesn't care about your feelings. This is hard to accept in a culture that tells you your feelings are paramount, that you should honor your truth and live your authentic feelings and never do anything that doesn't feel right. But reality doesn't operate on feelings. It operates on principles. And those principles don't care how you feel about them. The market doesn't care that you feel like your product should succeed. Physics doesn't care that you feel like that bridge design should work. Biology doesn't care that you feel like you should be able to eat whatever you want without consequences. Reality just is. It operates on principles. Your feelings about those principles are irrelevant. This doesn't mean feelings don't matter. They do. They provide information. Fear tells you something might be dangerous. Anger tells you a boundary might have been violated. Sadness tells you you've lost something that mattered. Feelings are data, but they're not directives. Most people let feelings dictate action. They feel anxious about starting a business, so they don't. They feel uncomfortable having a difficult conversation, so they avoid it. They feel like they deserve success, so they expect it without doing the work. They confuse feelings with reality. Mature humans acknowledge feelings, extract the information, then act based on principles rather than emotions. They feel afraid and do it anyway. They feel uncomfortable and have the conversation anyway. They feel lazy and work anyway. They use feelings as data without being controlled by them. Reality rewards actions that align with its principles, regardless of how you feel about those actions. Master your feelings or be mastered by them. Principle 5. Everything is trade-offs. You can't have everything. You can't optimize for all things. Every choice is a trade-off. Every yes to something is a no to something else. Every allocation of resources, time, money, energy, here means not there. Want wealth? Trade time. Want relationships? Trade career focus. Want freedom? Trade security. Want mastery? Trade breadth. Want peace? Trade ambition. You get to choose your trade-offs, but you don't get to avoid them. Most people try to avoid trade-offs. They want the benefits of X without the costs. They want wealth without the work, relationships without the effort, health without the discipline, freedom without the responsibility. It doesn't work, and most people refuse to make conscious trade-offs, so they make unconscious ones. They drift. They try to do everything and end up doing nothing well. They scatter their resources across too many things and build nothing meaningful. They wonder why they're not getting results when they never made the difficult choices about what matters most. You need to be explicit about your trade-offs. What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you not willing to sacrifice? What gets your best resources? What gets leftovers? What do you say yes to? What do you say no to, even when it's good, because it's not best? The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your trade-offs. Choose consciously. Choose based on your actual values, not society's. And accept the costs of your choices without resentment. You can't have it all. Decide what you actually want, then pay the price. Principle 6. Second-order consequences determine outcomes. First-order consequences are immediate and obvious. Second-order consequences are delayed and subtle. Most people optimize for first order and ignore second order. Then they wonder why their life is falling apart. Eat junk food. First order, tastes good. Second order, obesity, disease, low energy, early death. Watch TV. First order, entertainment, comfort. Second order, no skills developed, time wasted, opportunities missed, life unlived. Avoid difficult conversation. First order, no conflict, comfort maintained. Second order, resentment builds, relationship dies slowly, problem gets worse. Take debt for lifestyle. First order, get stuff now. Second order, trapped in job you hate, stress, limited options, years of payments. Most people are terrible at second-order thinking. They choose based on what feels good now and ignore what it creates later. They want the pleasure now and ignore the pain later. They optimize for comfort today and ignore the consequences tomorrow. Sophisticated humans think in second-order terms. They ask, and then what? They evaluate choices based on where they lead, not just how they feel immediately. They're willing to accept first-order pain for second-order gain. They pass the marshmallow test over and over throughout life. Before making any significant choice, ask, what are the second-order consequences of this? Not just how do I feel about it now, but where does this lead? Make choices based on where they take you, not just how they feel in the moment. This alone will put you ahead of 90% of people. Principle 7. Inputs determine outputs. Your outputs, results, are determined by your inputs, actions, time, energy, resources. If you don't like your outputs, change your inputs. Seems obvious, but most people try to change outputs without changing inputs. They want more money, but won't change how they work or what they do. They want better relationships, but won't change how they communicate or who they spend time with. They want better health, but won't change what they eat or how they move. They want different results with same inputs. It doesn't work. You can't hack outputs. You can't manifest them. You can't positive think your way to them. You have to change inputs. And inputs are often uncomfortable. They require work, change, sacrifice, discipline. So people avoid changing inputs and just wish for different outputs and wonder why wishing doesn't work. The formula is simple. Identify the output you want. Work backwards to identify the inputs that create that output. Change your inputs to match. Want wealth? Input is value creation and investment. Want health? Input is nutrition and movement. Want knowledge? Input is reading and learning. Want strong relationships? Input is time and authentic communication. Stop focusing on outputs. Focus on inputs. Outputs are just scorecards telling you whether your inputs are correct. If outputs are wrong, adjust inputs. Keep adjusting until outputs match what you want. This is all there is. Everything else is distraction. Taking action now. Understanding principles intellectually changes nothing. Application changes everything. Here's what you're doing after reading this chapter. Action 1. Write down what you're actually optimizing for right now. Not what you say you want. What your daily actions reveal you're optimizing for. Be brutally honest. Action 2. Identify one small daily action that would compound dramatically over a year. Something specific. Something measurable. Something you can do every single day. Write it down. Start today. Action 3. Audit your environment. List the 5 people you spend most time with. The content you consume most. The systems that shape your actions. For each, ask, is this programming me toward who I want to become or away from it? Action 4. Make a list of your current major commitments. For each, write down the second-order consequences. What does this lead to in 1 year? 5 years? Are these the consequences you actually want? Action 5. Identify your most important current output that isn't what you want. Work backwards. What inputs create that output? What needs to change? Be specific. These principles are your operating system for life. Understand them. Apply them. They work. Chapter 2. The money principles they don't teach. Money isn't what they taught you it is. It's a tool, a resource. And there are principles that govern how it works. Most people never learn these principles, so they struggle with money their entire lives. This chapter teaches you what school never did. The fundamental truth. Money is created by solving problems. That's it. You create value by solving problems people care about. You capture a portion of that value as money. The bigger the problem, the more valuable the solution. The more money flows to you. This is why work hard doesn't make you rich. Hard work is input. But if that hard work isn't solving valuable problems, it doesn't create money. You can work incredibly hard at something no one values and make nothing. The dishwasher works hard. The surgeon works hard. Dishwasher makes minimum wage. Surgeon makes $500,000. Not because surgery is harder. Because surgery solves a more valuable problem. It saves lives. First money principle. The amount you make is determined by the value of problems you solve, not how hard you work. Work hard at solving valuable problems, and you'll make money. Work hard at solving low-value problems, and you'll stay broke. Time versus money. The trap. Most people trade time for money. They go to a job, work hours, get paid. This is a trap. When you trade time for money, you cap your income. Only 24 hours in a day. You've made your income dependent on your continuous active effort. The moment you stop working, money stops. Rich people don't trade time for money. They build assets that generate money. They create systems that produce value without requiring their direct time. Their money makes money while they sleep. The shift from time for money to asset building is the most important financial shift you can make. Start building assets alongside your job. Start creating things that generate value independent of your time. Start investing in things that appreciate. Start thinking like an owner instead of an employee. As long as your income requires your active time, you're not financially free. You're just an expensive employee. Build assets. The 4 ways to make money. Way 1. Sell your time. Employment. Trade hours for dollars. Most common. Most limited. Time is finite. Way 2. Sell products. Create or acquire products. Sell for more than cost. Can scale because products can be duplicated. Way 3. Sell services. Provide value through skills. can scale with team. Better than employment because you capture more value. Way 4, invest capital. Use money to make money. Most scalable. Money works 24/7. Most people rely on way 1. This is why most stay middle class. They're using the least scalable method. Rich people use all 4, focusing on ways 3 and 4. They build businesses and invest returns. Progressively move from way 1 toward ways 2, 3, and 4. The goal is to have majority of income from ways 3 and 4, where scale exists. Compound interest. Compound interest is the most powerful force in wealth building. $10,000 at 10% annual returns becomes $174,000 in 30 years. Not because you add more. Because returns generate returns, which generate returns. This applies beyond investments. Skills compound. Network compounds. Reputation compounds. Start early. Be consistent. Be patient. The longer you give it to compound, the more dramatic the effect. People who start investing at 25 end up far wealthier than those starting at 45. Not because they put in more money, because they gave it more time to compound. Start today, even if it's small. Miss a year and you lose all the compound growth that would have built on it. Spending versus investing. Every dollar can be spent or invested. Spending. Exchange money for something that decreases in value or provides no future return. Consumption. Investing. Exchange money for something that increases in value or generates future returns. Wealth building. Most people spend almost everything. Invest nothing. Then wonder why they're not building wealth. Wealth isn't built by high income. It's built by the gap between income and spending, invested wisely over time. You can make $30,000 and invest $10,000 and build more wealth than someone making $200,000 who invests nothing. Invest first, spend what's left. Not spend first, invest if anything left. One approach builds wealth. Other keeps you broke. Lifestyle inflation trap. Most people stay broke despite earning more. Lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending increases proportionally. They never widen the gap. Never build wealth. Making $40,000, spending $40,000. Get promoted to $60,000. Spend $60,000. Promoted to $100,000. Spend $100,000. Still paycheck to paycheck. Just broke at higher income. Compare to someone making $60,000, keeping lifestyle at $40,000, investing $20,000, promoted to $100,000. Keep lifestyle at $40,000. Invest $60,000. In 10 years, financially independent. Don't automatically upgrade lifestyle when income increases. Let income grow faster than lifestyle. Capture the difference as investment. Debt, tool, or trap. Debt is neither good nor bad. It's a tool. Good debt. Borrow to buy asset that appreciates or generates cash flow exceeding debt cost. Rental property with positive cash flow. Leverage. Bad debt. Borrow to buy things that depreciate or generate no return. Financed car. Credit card balances for consumption. Most use debt poorly. If you have bad debt, eliminating it is first financial priority. Bad debt is reverse compound interest, compounding against you. Once eliminated, consider strategic use of good debt for leverage, but only after proving you can manage money responsibly. The 50/30/20 framework. 50% essentials. Housing, food, transportation, utilities. If over 50%, you're living above necessary means. 30% lifestyle, discretionary spending, entertainment, dining, hobbies, quality of life, money. 20% investments, wealth building. Minimum, better. 30% or 40% investment rate. Better framework. 50/20/30 or 50/10/40. More you shift from lifestyle to investments, faster you build wealth. Most have no framework. They spend without structure. Framework creates system. System creates consistency. Consistency creates results. Taking action now. Action 1. Calculate your actual financial allocation. Essentials, lifestyle, investments. Track every dollar for 1 month if needed. Action 2. Identify the most valuable problem you solve professionally. How could you solve more valuable problems? Write specific plan. Action 3. List all income sources. Which category? Time, products, services, investments? If everything is time, identify one way to move toward others. Action 4. Calculate savings rate, money invested divided by money earned. If below 20%, identify specific expenses to cut or income to increase. Action 5. If you have bad debt, write debt elimination plan. List all debts, rates, payments. Create strategy. Calculate when you'll be debt-free. Money isn't complicated. It's simple. But simple isn't easy. These principles work. Will you apply them? Chapter 3. Relationships, the real rules. Relationships determine quality of life more than almost anything else. Yet nobody teaches you how they actually work. The rules of attraction, the dynamics of power, what makes relationships last or fall apart. This chapter covers the real rules, not what sounds nice, but what works. The fundamental dynamic. Relationships operate on exchange. Not romantic to say, but true. Each person provides value to the other. As long as the exchange feels fair, relationship continues. When it becomes imbalanced, relationship struggles or ends. This doesn't mean keeping score. It means understanding that relationships require mutual benefit. You can't just take. You can't just demand. You have to provide value. And the other person has to provide value to you. Different people value different things. Some value time and attention. Others value resources. Some value emotional support. Others value physical attraction. Some value intellectual stimulation. Others value stability and reliability. Understanding what you value and what you provide is critical. If you value emotional support but only provide resources, you're playing the wrong game. If you value intellectual stimulation but attract people who only value appearance, you're attracting the wrong people. Be clear about what you value. Be honest about what you provide. Find people whose values align with what you provide and vice versa. This is compatibility. Everything else is just hoping chemistry overcomes incompatibility. It doesn't. Attraction isn't a choice. Attraction is biology. It's not conscious. It's not moral. It's not fair. It's just reality. Men are primarily attracted to youth and physical beauty because these signal fertility. Women are primarily attracted to status and resources because these signal ability to provide and protect. These are generalizations, but they're statistically true generalizations based on evolutionary imperatives. You can be offended by this. You can wish it were different, but wishing doesn't change reality. These patterns exist across cultures and throughout history. They're not social constructs. They're biological imperatives shaped by millions of years of evolution. This doesn't mean people can't be attracted to other qualities. They can, but the baseline biological triggers exist, and ignoring them because they're politically incorrect doesn't make you enlightened. It makes you ineffective. If you're a man trying to attract women, increase your status and resources, build skills, build wealth, build confidence, build your career, become someone of value. This is what attracts women at the deepest biological level. If you're a woman trying to attract men, maintain your appearance and youth as long as possible. Stay fit, dress well, Take care of yourself. This is what attracts men at the deepest biological level. You can have other qualities that create deeper connection, but you can't create deeper connection if initial attraction doesn't exist. Initial attraction opens the door. Other qualities determine whether you stay. Power dynamics are real. Every relationship has power dynamics. One person has more power than the other. Power means options. The person with more options has more power. If you need the relationship more than they need you, they have more power. If they need the relationship more than you need them, you have more power. If the need is roughly equal, power is balanced. Power isn't inherently bad, but power imbalance creates problems. The person with less power becomes anxious, needy, jealous. The person with more power becomes complacent, takes the other for granted. Balanced power creates healthy relationships. Both people have options, but choose each other. Both could leave, but don't want to. This creates mutual respect and appreciation. How do you maintain balanced power? By maintaining your options. Not by cheating or being disloyal, but by being someone of value who could attract others if needed. Stay fit. Stay interesting. Stay ambitious. Stay valuable. Not to leave. To ensure the relationship remains chosen, not needed. The person who needs the relationship less has more power. If you become completely dependent, you lose all power. And without power, you lose respect. And without respect, you lose attraction. And without attraction, you lose the relationship. Maintain your independence. Maintain your value. Maintain your life outside the relationship. This isn't selfishness. This is relationship maintenance. What actually kills relationships? Not what you think. Most relationships don't end because of one big dramatic event. They die slowly from accumulated small violations. Lack of respect. Once respect is gone, everything else falls apart. Respect is foundational. You can love someone and not respect them, but you can't maintain a healthy relationship without respect. Respect must be earned and maintained. Stop doing things worthy of respect. Lose respect. Taking for granted. At start of relationship, you make effort. You show appreciation. You prioritize the other person. Then you get comfortable. Stop making effort. Stop showing appreciation. Stop prioritizing. You take them for granted. They feel it. Resentment builds. Relationship dies. Poor communication. Most people are terrible at communication. They expect their partner to read minds. They drop hints instead of being direct. They avoid difficult conversations. They let resentments build. Then they explode. And wonder why partner didn't know something was wrong. Because you never clearly communicated it. Losing yourself. Some people merge completely into the relationship. They abandon their friends, their hobbies, their goals. They make the relationship their entire identity. This is suffocating for the partner and destructive for you. Maintain your individuality. Maintain your life. Bring something to the relationship beyond just being available. Sexual problems. Physical intimacy matters, especially for men. If sexual relationship dies, usually slowly, but it dies. For most men, lack of physical intimacy is deal breaker. Not because they're shallow, because physical intimacy is how many men experience and express emotional connection. Remove it and connection dies. These are the real killers, not arguments about dishes. The slow erosion of respect, effort, communication, individuality, and intimacy. The standards problem. You get what you tolerate. If you tolerate disrespect, you'll get disrespected. If you tolerate poor treatment, you'll be treated poorly. If you tolerate mediocrity, you'll get mediocrity. Most people have low standards because they're afraid of being alone. So they accept bad behavior. They make excuses. They rationalize. They convince themselves it's not that bad. Meanwhile, They're training their partner that this level of treatment is acceptable. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you tolerate being ignored, you'll be ignored more. If you tolerate being disrespected, you'll be disrespected more. If you tolerate infidelity, you'll get more infidelity. High standards don't make you difficult. They make you selective. And selective is good. Better to be alone than in a bad relationship. Better to have no relationship than a relationship that makes you worse. Set standards. Maintain standards. Don't compromise on things that matter. Yes, this means you'll have fewer options. Yes, this means you might be alone longer. But when you do find someone who meets your standards, the relationship will be worth having. Low standards guarantee you'll attract low-quality partners. High standards mean you might wait longer, but you'll attract quality. The difficult conversations. Most people avoid difficult conversations. They hope problems will resolve themselves. They don't. They get worse. You need to address issues when they arise, not let them fester, not avoid conflict. Address them directly, calmly, and clearly. This doesn't mean be aggressive. It means be honest. This behavior bothers me because X. I need it to change to Y. Can we agree on that? Simple, direct, clear. Most problems would be solved if people just communicated clearly instead of expecting mind reading. Your partner doesn't know what you're thinking unless you tell them. They don't know you're bothered unless you say something. They can't fix what they don't know is broken. Stop dropping hints. Stop being passive-aggressive. Stop expecting them to just know. Communicate directly. Have difficult conversations early before resentment builds. This saves relationships. The independence paradox. Here's something counterintuitive. The more independent you are, the better your relationships. This seems backwards. Shouldn't relationships be about togetherness? No. Healthy relationships are about two independent people choosing to be together, not two dependent people needing each other. When you're independent, financially, emotionally, socially, you don't need the relationship. You want it. This is healthy. This means you're choosing them, not clinging to them. This creates respect. When you're dependent, can't function without them, have no life outside them, need them for validation, you need the relationship. This is unhealthy. This means you're clinging, not choosing. This destroys respect. Maintain your independence. Have your own friends. Have your own hobbies. Have your own goals. Have your own income. Have your own identity. Bring a full life to the relationship instead of expecting the relationship to be your entire life. The strongest relationships are between two strong individuals, not two halves making a whole. Two wholes choosing to be together. Taking action now. Action 1. Evaluate your current relationship or last relationship if single. Be honest. What value do you provide? What value do they provide? Is it balanced? If not, what needs to change? Action 2. List your actual relationship standards. Not what sounds good. What you actually require. What you won't tolerate. Be specific. Then compare your standards to your past relationships. Did you compromise on important standards? Why? Action 3. If you're in a relationship, identify one difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Write down exactly what you need to say. Have the conversation this week. Direct. Calm. Clear. Action 4. Audit your independence. Do you have life outside the relationship? Friends you see regularly? Hobbies you pursue? Goals independent of your partner? If not, identify one area to rebuild. Action 5. Write down the 3 most important qualities you want in a partner. Then honestly assess. Are you someone who would attract a person with those qualities? If not, what do you need to become? Relationships aren't magic. They're dynamics. Understand the dynamics. Play the game correctly. Win. Chapter 4. Building yourself when no one's watching. Who you are when no one's watching is who you actually are. Not who you present to the world. Not who you aspire to be. Who you actually are. And that person, the private you, determines everything. This chapter is about building that person into someone you respect. The Integrity Foundation. Integrity isn't about being perfect. It's about alignment. Are your actions aligned with your values? Are your private behaviors aligned with your public persona? Are you the same person alone as you are in public? Most people have a public self and a private self. The public self is polished, disciplined, principled. The private self cuts corners, takes shortcuts, violates their own standards. This misalignment creates internal conflict, guilt, and self-contempt. You can't respect yourself if you constantly violate your own standards. You can't feel confident if you know you're a fraud. You can't have self-esteem if you don't do estimable things. Self-respect must be earned through aligned action. The solution: close the gap between public and private self. Be the same person alone as you are with others. This doesn't mean be perfect. It means be consistent. Have standards. Meet them. Even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. This is hard. Much easier to cut corners when no one can see. Easier to compromise your standards when there's no social accountability. But every time you do, you lose respect for yourself. Every compromise chips away at your integrity. Build integrity by doing what you said you'd do. By meeting your own standards, even when no one would know if you didn't. By being someone you can respect in private. This creates real confidence, not fake social confidence. Real internal confidence based on knowing you're actually that person. The discipline nobody sees. Success isn't what happens on stage. It's what happens in practice. It's what happens when no one's watching. It's the daily disciplines that nobody sees, but everyone benefits from. The person who has their life together isn't lucky. They're disciplined. They do things daily that most people don't want to do. They have routines, systems, standards. They follow them consistently. In private, without recognition, without applause. They work out when they don't feel like it. They eat well when junk food is easier. They work on their goals when Netflix is more appealing. They read when scrolling is more convenient. They go to bed on time when staying up is tempting. They do these things not because they're virtuous, because they've committed to them. This is the discipline nobody sees. The private commitment to standards. The daily execution of principles. The consistent doing of things that matter even when they're hard. This is what creates the person everyone sees as successful. Most people aren't willing to do this. They want public success without private discipline. They want results without process. They want to be impressive without doing impressive things. It doesn't work. Who you are in private determines what you become in public. Start building private discipline. Create routines. Follow them, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Do this for months, years. Watch who you become. The mental diet. You are what you consume. Not just food. Information. Content. Ideas. You're consuming constantly. And what you consume shapes how you think. How you think determines how you act. How you act determines your results. Most people have terrible mental diets. They consume whatever is entertaining, whatever is trending, whatever shows up in their feed. They're not choosing consciously. They're consuming passively. And passive consumption means you're being programmed by algorithms designed to maximize engagement, not improve your life. Look at what you consumed yesterday. How much was valuable? How much improved you? How much taught you something useful? How much made you better? Probably very little. Most was entertainment, distraction, time-filling, brain-numbing nonsense. You need a mental diet as intentional as a physical diet. Choose what you consume. Consume things that improve you, books that teach you, podcasts that challenge you, content from people ahead of you, information that makes you more capable. Stop consuming junk. Stop scrolling mindlessly. Stop watching things that don't serve you. Your attention is limited. Your time is finite. What you feed your mind determines what your mind produces. Feed it garbage, get garbage outputs. Feed it quality, get quality outputs. Create consumption rules. Maybe no social media except designated times. Maybe read for 1 hour daily. Maybe only consume content from people who have what you want. Maybe no news, it's all noise. Whatever rules serve you, set them. Follow them. The accountability to self. Most people only perform when someone's watching. They need external accountability. A boss, a coach, a partner, social pressure. Without external accountability, they slack. This is weak. This means you're dependent on others to make you do what you should do anyway. This means you can't trust yourself. This means you're not self-governing. You need internal accountability. You need to be someone who does what they said they'd do. Not because someone's watching, because you said you'd do it. Your word to yourself has to mean something. Most people's word to themselves means nothing. They tell themselves they'll work out. They don't. They tell themselves they'll start the business. They don't. They tell themselves they'll save money. They don't. Their word to themselves is worthless. This destroys self-respect. How can you respect someone whose word means nothing? You can't. And that someone is you. You don't respect yourself because you can't trust yourself. You make commitments to yourself and break them constantly. Start keeping your word to yourself. Make small commitments. Keep them. Build trust with yourself. Show yourself that your word means something. Start with something tiny but non-negotiable. Do 10 push-ups daily. Read 10 pages daily. Whatever. Pick something. Do it daily without exception for 30 days. This isn't about the push-ups. This is about proving to yourself that your word means something. That when you commit to something, you do it. This builds self-respect. Self-respect creates confidence. Confidence creates action. Action creates results. The uncomfortable growth. Growth lives in discomfort. Always. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. You're maintaining at best. Declining more likely. Most people avoid discomfort. They optimize for ease, for convenience, for comfort. And they wonder why they're not growing. Because they've eliminated the necessary condition for growth, discomfort. You need to actively seek discomfort. Do things that scare you. Take on challenges that might fail. Put yourself in situations where you're incompetent. This is where growth happens. In the space between current capability and desired capability. That space is uncomfortable. It's supposed to be. The workout that doesn't challenge you doesn't change you. The conversation that doesn't scare you doesn't grow you. The project that doesn't stretch you doesn't develop you. Comfort maintains. Discomfort transforms. Most people will never transform because they won't tolerate discomfort. They'd rather stay the same and comfortable than grow through discomfort. This is choosing to stay weak. Choosing to stay limited. Choosing to stay less than you could be. Stop avoiding discomfort. Start seeking it. Not recklessly. Not stupidly. But deliberately. Put yourself in situations that require more than you currently have. Then develop what's required. This is growth. This is how you become more capable. The long-term thinking. Most people think short-term. What feels good today? What's easy now? What's convenient in the moment? This creates long-term problems. Because short-term thinking accumulates into long-term consequences. You need to think long-term. Ask, where's this led? What does this create over time? What will future me wish current me had done? Eat junk food today. Feel fine today. but create health problems over time. Skip workout today, no immediate consequence, but create weakness over time. Avoid difficult work today, less stress today, but create missed opportunities over time. Every short-term choice has long-term effects. Sophisticated people sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term benefit. They do what's hard now to make things easier later. They invest today for returns tomorrow. They build today for freedom later. They delay gratification because they understand compound effects. You need this perspective. Stop optimizing for today. Start optimizing for 10 years from now. Ask, what should I do today that 10 years from now me will thank me for? Then do that. Daily. Consistently. Let compound. Most people won't do this. They're too focused on immediate gratification. Too short-sighted to see long-term effects. Too weak to delay satisfaction. And they'll spend their lives regretting it. Don't be them. The identity shift. Who you believe you are determines what you do. If you believe you're lazy, you'll act lazy. If you believe you're disciplined, you'll act disciplined. If you believe you're a victim, you'll act like a victim. If you believe you're capable, you'll act capable. Your identity is the story you tell yourself about who you are. And you always act consistent with that story, even when you consciously want different results. If you identify as someone who's bad with money, you'll sabotage financial success to maintain that identity. If you identify as someone who can't lose weight, you'll sabotage fitness progress. If you identify as someone who's unlucky, you'll interpret everything through that lens. You need to change your identity, not through affirmations, through evidence. You build new identity by acting as that person repeatedly until the actions become who you are. Want to be disciplined? Act disciplined. Daily. For months. Eventually you stop trying to be disciplined and just are disciplined. Want to be confident? Act confident. Put yourself in situations that require confidence. Eventually you stop trying to be confident and just are confident. Identity isn't fixed. It's built through repeated action. You become what you do repeatedly. So if you want to be something different, start doing it repeatedly. Eventually, you won't be trying to be it. You'll just be it. Taking action now. Action 1. Identify one area where your private behavior doesn't match your public persona. Where you cut corners when no one's watching. Commit to closing that gap this month. Action 2. Audit yesterday's mental consumption. How many hours on social media? On TV? On valuable content? Calculate the ratio. If valuable content is less than 50%, create a rule to shift it. Action 3. Make one commitment to yourself. Something small but daily. Something you'll do for 30 days without exception. Write it down. Start today. This is building self-trust. Action 4. Identify one area of life where you're too comfortable, where you're not being challenged, where you're not growing. Do one thing this week that makes you uncomfortable in that area. Action 5. Write a description of who you want to be in 5 years. Be specific about qualities, capabilities, characteristics. Then ask, what would that person do today? Do that. Building yourself when no one's watching is how you become someone worth watching. Start building. Chapter 5. The Meaning Problem. At some point you'll ask, what's the point? Why am I doing this? What does any of this matter? This is the meaning problem. And how you answer it determines whether you thrive or just survive. This chapter addresses the hardest question. How do you find meaning in a meaningless universe? The inevitable question. Everyone faces this eventually. You achieve something you've been working toward. You feel satisfied. For a day. Then the question, now what? What's next? Is this all there is? Or you realize that everything you're working for is temporary. You'll die. Everyone you know will die. Everything you build will eventually disappear. So what's the point of building anything? This is the meaning problem. And it's a real problem. Because humans need meaning. We can tolerate almost anything if we have a reason. But we can't tolerate meaninglessness. A life without meaning is unbearable. This is why suicide rates increase with prosperity. Because prosperity doesn't create meaning. It just removes the distraction of survival. Most people don't think about this. They're too busy surviving, working, paying bills, dealing with daily problems. But once survival is handled, the question emerges, what's the point? And most people don't have an answer. So they distract themselves. They pursue more money, more status, more pleasure, anything to avoid the question. But the question doesn't go away. It lurks, and eventually it demands an answer. You need an answer, not a perfect philosophical answer, a functional answer, something that gives your life direction and purpose, something that makes getting up in the morning feel worthwhile. Meaning isn't found, it's created. Here's the uncomfortable truth. There's no inherent meaning to life. The universe doesn't have a purpose for you. There's no cosmic plan, no destiny, no reason you exist except that your parents had sex. This is nihilism, and it's true, but it's not the whole truth. Because while there's no inherent meaning, you can create meaning. You can choose what matters. You can decide what's worth doing. You can assign significance to things. Meaning isn't discovered. It's constructed. You don't find meaning like finding a treasure that was always there. You create meaning by deciding what matters to you and living accordingly. This is liberating and terrifying. Liberating because you're not bound by someone else's meaning. You create your own. Terrifying because there's no objective answer. You have to choose. And choosing means taking responsibility for that choice. Most people want meaning handed to them. Religion used to do this. Society used to do this. But in modern world, those sources have weakened. Now you have to create your own meaning. This is hard, but it's also powerful. Because your meaning is actually yours. The 4 sources of meaning. While meaning is subjective, there are patterns. Most people find meaning in 1 or more of 4 areas. Creation, making things. Building things. Leaving something behind. This is the artist, the entrepreneur, the builder. They find meaning in creating value that outlasts them. Whether it's art, business, ideas, or solutions. They create, therefore they matter. Connection, relationships. Love, family, community. This is the parent, the friend, connector. They find meaning in relationships and bonds, in being there for others, in love given and received. Their life matters because of who they touch. Growth, becoming more, developing capabilities, mastering skills, pushing limits. This is the athlete, the student, the self-improver. They find meaning in the process of becoming, in transformation, improving what they're capable of. Contribution, service, impact, making things better. This is the helper, the leader, the reformer. They find meaning in improving things, in helping others, in leaving the world better than they found it. Most people's meaning involves multiple sources. You create something, and you do it for your family, and you grow through the process, and you contribute to others. The combination creates rich, multifaceted meaning, but you need at least one. If you're not creating, connecting, growing, or contributing, you're not going to find meaning. You'll just be consuming, distracting, existing. And existence without meaning is suffering. The work has meaning. One of the most reliable sources of meaning, meaningful work. Work that matters. Work that creates value. Work that uses your capabilities. Work that challenges you. This doesn't mean your job has to save the world. It means your work should matter to you. It should be work you can take pride in. Work that develops you. Work that creates something you value. Most people's work is meaningless to them. They do it for money. They don't care about the output. They don't develop through it. They don't find it meaningful. They just endure it for paycheck. Then they wonder why they feel empty. You spend most of your waking hours working. If that work is meaningless, most of your life is meaningless. That's not sustainable. You need work that matters. This might mean changing careers. It might mean changing how you approach your current work. It might mean building something on the side that does matter. But you need meaningful work, not luxury, necessity. If you can't find meaning in your work, either change the work or change your relationship to it. But don't spend decades doing meaningless work. That's not living. That's just slowly dying while collecting paychecks. The relationship says meaning. For many people, relationships are the primary source of meaning. Who they love, who they're responsible for, who they matter to. This is enough. This is meaning. If you have people you love who love you back, if you have relationships that matter, if you're connected to community, you have meaning. Because those relationships matter. They're real. They create genuine significance. The parent who works to provide for their kids, that's meaningful. The partner who supports their spouse, that's meaningful. The friend who shows up when needed, that's meaningful. These aren't grand philosophical purposes, but they're real. And real meaning is what matters. Most people undervalue relationships as a source of meaning because they're chasing status or achievement. But at end of life, nobody wishes they worked more or made more money. They wish they'd invested more in relationships. Because relationships are where real meaning lies. If you have no meaningful relationships, you'll struggle to find meaning in anything else. Because humans are social. We need connection. We need to matter to others. We need others to matter to us. This is biology. This is wired in. Build meaningful relationships. Invest in them. Show up for them. Be present for them. This creates meaning that achievement never will. The temporary nature of everything. Here's the thing nihilism gets right. Everything is temporary. You'll die. Everyone you love will die. Everything you build will eventually disappear. The sun will eventually burn out, and none of this will have mattered in any cosmic sense. This is true. And this is why some people conclude nothing matters. If it all ends anyway, why do anything? But this logic is backwards. Things don't need to be permanent to matter. Your dinner tonight isn't permanent. You'll be hungry again tomorrow. Does that mean eating doesn't matter? No. It matters right now. Your relationships aren't permanent. Eventually death will end them all. Does that mean they don't matter? No. They matter while they exist. Your achievements aren't permanent. Eventually they'll be forgotten. Does that mean they don't matter? No. They matter in their impact while they exist. Meaning doesn't require permanence. Meaning requires significance. And things can be significant even if they're temporary. Actually, temporary things are more precious because they're limited. Accept the temporary nature of everything. Then find meaning anyway. Not despite the temporariness. Because of it, you have limited time. That makes how you use it matter more, not less. The antidote to meaninglessness. When you feel meaningless, when you're asking, what's the point? Here's what actually helps. Action. Stop thinking. Start doing. Overthinking meaning creates paralysis. Doing things creates meaning. Meaning emerges from engagement, not contemplation. Contribution. Help someone. Create something. Make something better. Contribution creates meaning instantly. Because you just made something matter. Presence. Get out of your head. Be present in the moment. With people. With experience. With work. Presence defeats meaninglessness. Growth. Learn something. Master something. Improve at something. Growth is inherently meaningful because you're becoming more. Connection. Spend time with people who matter to you. Deep connection is meaning. Shallow distraction is meaninglessness. The cure for meaninglessness isn't a philosophical answer. It's action toward things that matter. You can't think your way to meaning. You have to act your way there. Taking action now. Action 1. Write down what you think would make your life meaningful. Now it sounds good. What would actually matter to you? Be honest. This is your meaning framework. Action 2. Evaluate your current work. On a scale of 1 to 10, how meaningful is it to you? If below 7, what would make it more meaningful? Or do you need different work entirely? Action 3. List your most important relationships. When did you last invest real time in each? Schedule specific time this week for the most important ones. Action 4. Identify one way you could contribute this week. Help someone. Create something. Make something better. Do it without expecting return. Action 5. Pick one area where you want to grow. Commit to deliberate practice in that area this month. Schedule it. Growth creates meaning through becoming. The meaning problem doesn't have a perfect answer, but it has a functional answer. Live in alignment with what matters to you. Create, connect, grow, contribute. This is enough. Chapter 6. How to actually be happy. Everyone wants to be happy. Most people aren't. Not because happiness is impossible, because they don't understand how it works. They pursue things they think will make them happy. Those things don't. Then they wonder what's wrong. This chapter teaches you how happiness actually works. Happiness is not what you think. Most people think happiness comes from external conditions. Get the job. Find a partner. Make the money. Buy the house. Then you'll be happy. But people who get these things often aren't happier. They just have different problems. Because happiness isn't primarily about external conditions. It's about internal state. It's about how you relate to your circumstances, not the circumstances themselves. Two people can have identical circumstances and radically different happiness levels, because happiness is generated by mindset, not conditions. This is good news and bad news. Good news. You don't need perfect circumstances to be happy. Bad news. Improving circumstances won't automatically make you happy. You have to learn how to generate happiness internally regardless of external conditions. This doesn't mean circumstances don't matter. Extreme poverty is harder to be happy than moderate comfort. Chronic illness is harder than good health. But within a wide range of normal circumstances, happiness is primarily internal. The sooner you accept this, the sooner you can actually become happy. Stop waiting for circumstances to be perfect. Start learning to be happy with circumstances as they are while working to improve them. The hedonic treadmill. Here's why achieving goals doesn't make you happy. The hedonic treadmill. You achieve something. You feel good. Briefly. Then you adapt. The achievement becomes your new baseline. You feel normal again. Then you need the next achievement to feel good again. Buy a new car. Feels amazing. For a week. Then it's just your car. Get a promotion. Feels great. For a month. Then it's just your job. Make more money. Feels awesome. Briefly. Then you adjust your lifestyle and feel the same as before. This is the hedonic treadmill. You keep achieving things hoping they'll make you happy. They provide temporary pleasure, but not lasting happiness. Because you adapt. You return to your baseline. You need more to feel good. This is why rich people aren't dramatically happier than middle-class people. Why people who win lotteries return to baseline happiness within a year. Why achieving your goals doesn't create lasting happiness. The treadmill never stops. There's always another level, another achievement, another thing to acquire. If you're trying to achieve your way to happiness, you'll fail. Because the treadmill is infinite. You'll never achieve enough to be permanently happy. Understanding this is critical. It means two things. First, achieving things won't make you happy. Second, you can be happy now without achieving anything. Because happiness isn't on the other side of achievement. It's available right now if you generate it correctly. the actual sources of happiness. Research on happiness is clear. Certain things correlate strongly with happiness. Not what most people think. Strong relationships. This is the strongest predictor of happiness. People with deep, meaningful relationships are happier than people without them, regardless of wealth, status, or achievement. Connection matters most. Sense of control. Feeling like you have agency. Like your actions matter. Like you're not helpless. People who feel control over their lives are happier than people who feel controlled by circumstances. Progress toward meaningful goals, not achievement. Progress. People who are moving toward things that matter to them are happier than people who are drifting. Direction matters more than destination. Physical health. Exercise, sleep, nutrition. People who take care of their bodies are happier, not because they look better, because physical health affects mental state directly. Gratitude. People who regularly acknowledge what they're grateful for are happier than people who focus on what they lack. Not because their circumstances are better, because their focus is different. Service. People who contribute to others are happier than people who only focus on themselves. Contribution creates meaning. Meaning creates happiness. Notice what's not on the list. Money beyond basic needs. Status, possessions, fame, luxury. These provide temporary pleasure, but they don't create lasting happiness. If you want to be happy, invest in relationships, take control of your life, make progress toward meaningful goals, take care of your body, practice gratitude, and contribute to others. This is the formula. It's not mysterious. It's just not what most people do. The comparison trap. One of the fastest ways to be unhappy. Compare yourself to others. Especially compare your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. You see other success, their achievements, their possessions, their relationships. You compare your private struggles to their public success. You feel inadequate. You feel behind. You feel like you're failing. But you're comparing incomparable things. You're comparing your full reality, including all your private struggles, doubts, failures, to their curated presentation, just their successes and high points. This creates false inadequacy. Everyone is struggling with something. Everyone has problems. Everyone has insecurities. But most people only show their wins. So you think everyone else has it figured out while you're struggling. They don't. They're just not posting their struggles. Stop comparing. Or if you must compare, compare to your past self. Are you better than you were last year? That's the only comparison that matters. Everyone else is on a different path, with different circumstances. Comparing is pointless. Social media makes this worse. Everyone's posting their best moments, their wins, their highlights. You scroll through this. You feel inadequate because your normal life doesn't look like their highlight reel. But their normal life doesn't look like their highlight reel either. Minimize social media consumption, or recognize it for what it is, performance, not reality. If you can't stop comparing, at least compare accurately. Your reality to their reality, not your reality to their presentation. The gratitude practice. This sounds cliché, but gratitude is one of the most powerful happiness practices. Not because it's mystical, because it shifts focus. Your mind focuses on something, either what you have or what you lack, either what's working or what's not, either what you're grateful for or what you want. This focus determines your emotional state. If you focus on lack, you feel lacking. If you focus on problems, you feel overwhelmed. If you focus on what you want but don't have, you feel dissatisfied. This creates unhappiness. Not because your circumstances are bad, because your focus is. If you focus on what you have, you feel abundant. If you focus on what's working, you feel capable. If you focus on what you're grateful for, you feel satisfied. This creates happiness, not because circumstances changed, Because focus changed. Gratitude is a forced focus shift. Every day, you identify things you're grateful for. This trains your brain to look for good things. Over time, this becomes automatic. You start noticing good things without trying. This elevates baseline happiness. Practice. Every morning or night, write 3 things you're grateful for. Must be specific. Must be different daily. Do this for 30 days. You'll notice shift in how you feel. Not because life got better. Because you're noticing the good that was always there. The pleasure versus happiness distinction. Pleasure and happiness are different. Most people confuse them. Pleasure is temporary positive feeling from external stimulus. Happiness is lasting contentment from internal state. Pleasure, eating dessert, having sex, buying something, getting likes, achieving something. Feels good. Briefly. Then gone. Then you need more. Happiness. Deep relationships, meaningful work, personal growth, health, gratitude, contribution. Feels good. Persistently. Builds over time. Compounds. Most people chase pleasure, thinking it will make them happy. It doesn't. Pleasure is spike. Happiness is baseline. You can have lots of pleasure and low happiness, or minimal pleasure and high happiness. Rich people who are miserable, lots of pleasure, can buy whatever they want. Low happiness, empty relationships, meaningless work, no growth. Poor people who are content, minimal pleasure, can't buy much. High happiness, strong relationships, meaningful work, personal growth. Stop optimizing for pleasure. Start building happiness. Pleasure is dessert. Happiness is nutrition. Both have place. But you can't build health on dessert alone. The enough problem. Most people never feel like they have enough. Enough money. Enough success. Enough recognition. They're always chasing more. This guarantees unhappiness. Because enough is a moving target. Make $50,000. Think you need $100,000 to be happy. Make $100,000. Think you need $200,000. Make $200,000. Think you need $500,000. Enough keeps moving away. You never arrive. You're perpetually dissatisfied. This is intentional. Society, advertising, culture all push you to want more. Because if you ever felt like you had enough, you'd stop consuming. Stop working as hard. Stop climbing. Economy depends on you feeling inadequate. But this makes you miserable. You're always lacking. Always behind. Always needing more. You can never be happy because happiness requires feeling like you have enough. You need to define enough for yourself. What's actually enough money? Enough success? Enough stuff? Be specific. Write it down. Then when you hit it, stop. Be satisfied. Enjoy what you have. Most people never do this. They just keep wanting more. More is never enough. Because they never defined enough. So they spend their whole life feeling inadequate despite having more than most people in history. Define enough. Hit enough. Then be happy. You can still grow. Still improve. But from place of satisfaction, not desperation. From abundance, not lack. Taking action now. Action 1. Audit your relationships. Who are the 3 people you're closest to? When did you last have deep, meaningful conversation with each? Schedule time this week. Action 2. Identify one area of life where you feel lack of control. What's one action you could take to increase your sense of agency in that area? Take it this week. Action 3. Write down 3 meaningful goals you're currently working toward. If you don't have 3, identify them. These should be things that matter to you, not society. Action 4. Start daily gratitude practice. Every morning or night, write 3 specific things you're grateful for. Must be different each day. Commit to 30 days. Action 5. Define enough in 3 areas: money, success, possessions. Write specific numbers or descriptions. When you hit these, practice being satisfied instead of immediately wanting more. Happiness isn't mysterious. It's not about circumstances. It's about focus, relationships, meaning, and internal state. Build these. Be happy now, while building better future. Chapter 7. Winning without losing yourself. Success often comes with a cost. You achieve your goals, but lose your values. You win in career, but lose in relationships. You gain status, but lose integrity. You make money, but lose meaning. This is losing yourself. This chapter is about winning without that cost. The success trap. Success is dangerous. Not because success is bad, because success often requires compromises. And many people make compromises they regret. You compromise your values to get ahead. You sacrifice relationships for career. You become someone you don't respect to achieve things you wanted. You win, but the person who wins isn't the person you wanted to be. This happens slowly. One small compromise doesn't seem like big deal. Then another. Then another. Each seems justified. I'll just do this to get ahead. Once I'm successful, I'll be myself again. But you don't, because by the time you're successful, you've become someone else. Someone who makes those compromises. Someone you don't actually respect. The trap. You think you can compartmentalize. You think you can be ruthless in business, but kind in personal life. You think you can lie at work, but be honest at home. You think you can be one person publicly and another privately. You can't. Who you are in one area bleeds into others. Who you practice being is who you become. You need to win without losing yourself. Win while maintaining your values. Succeed while staying someone you respect. Achieve while keeping your integrity intact. This is harder, but it's the only success worth having. The line you won't cross. Everyone has things they'll do and things they won't do. Lines they'll cross and lines they won't. These lines define you. They determine whether you keep or lose yourself in pursuit of success. Most people's lines are fuzzy. They think they have principles. But when tested, those principles bend. I'd never lie becomes, well, just this once for this deal. I'd never compromise my values becomes, just until I'm established. I'd never neglect my family becomes, just during this project. Lines that bend aren't lines. They're suggestions. And suggestions don't protect you from losing yourself. You need actual lines. Clear boundaries you won't cross regardless of benefit. Define your lines now, before you're in situations where crossing them seems justified. What will you not do for success? What will you not sacrifice? What values will you not compromise? Be specific. Write them down. Then when opportunity comes that requires crossing those lines, you'll know immediately, no, this isn't negotiable. This is who I am. The answer is no. Most people don't do this. So when temptation comes, they rationalize. Maybe my values aren't that important. Maybe I can compromise just this once. Maybe success justifies this. And they cross the line, and they lose a piece of themselves. Have clear lines. Defend them, even when defense is costly. Because keeping yourself is worth more than any success that requires losing yourself. The integrity test. Here's a simple test. Would you be proud of this action if everyone knew about it? If you're doing something you'd be ashamed of if revealed, you're compromising your integrity. Stop. Most unethical behavior happens because people think they can hide it. If no one knows, it doesn't count. But you know. And knowing you did something you're ashamed of erodes self-respect, even if no one else ever finds out. Every action either builds or erodes integrity. Every time you do what's right even when it's hard, you build integrity. Every time you do what's wrong because it's easy or beneficial, you erode integrity. This compounds. Do it enough times. You lose respect for yourself entirely. Integrity means you're the same person in private as in public. You don't have a public persona and a private self. You don't act one way when people are watching and another when they're not. You're consistent. You're aligned. What you project is what you are. This is hard, because sometimes doing the right thing costs you. Sometimes integrity is expensive. Sometimes maintaining your values means losing opportunities. Do it anyway, because the alternative is losing yourself. And that's more expensive than any opportunity. The relationship cost. Many people sacrifice relationships for success. They're so focused on career, money, goals that relationships get neglected. I'll invest in relationships once I'm successful. But by the time they're successful, the relationships are gone, or damaged beyond repair. You can't succeed your way into happy relationships. You can't make enough money to compensate for not being there. You can't achieve enough to make up for neglect. Relationships require time, presence, and priority. If you're not giving them that, you're losing them. Slowly, silently, irreversibly. This is the cost many successful people pay. They win in career but lose in family. They achieve in business but fail in marriage. They make money but their kids don't know them. They reach goals but end up alone. You need to protect your relationships while pursuing success. This means boundaries. This means sometimes choosing relationship over opportunity. This means being present even when work is calling. This means making relationships non-negotiable even when success demands more. Most successful people wish they'd done this differently. They wish they'd invested more in relationships. They wish they'd been more present. They wish they'd prioritized differently. But by the time they realize this, it's too late. Relationships are gone, and no amount of success compensates for that loss. Don't make this mistake. Win without sacrificing the people who matter. Because winning alone isn't winning. It's just successful loneliness. The values alignment. Your values are what you actually care about, not what you say you care about. What your actions reveal you care about. Most people's values and actions are misaligned. They say they value family, but work 80 hours weekly. They say they value health, but don't exercise. They say they value integrity, but cut corners constantly. This misalignment creates internal conflict. You're not living according to what you actually believe matters. You're acting against your own values. This creates guilt, shame, and self-contempt. You can't respect someone who violates their own values. That someone is you. You need alignment. Your actions must match your stated values. If you say you value something, your life must reflect that. If your life doesn't reflect it, you either need to change your actions or admit that's not actually your value. Alignment creates peace. When your actions match your values, you feel good about yourself. You respect yourself. You're proud of who you're being. This is internal integrity. This is keeping yourself. Misalignment creates conflict. When your actions violate your values, you feel bad about yourself. You lose respect. You're ashamed of who you're being. This is internal disintegration. This is losing yourself. Regular audit. Are your actions aligned with your stated values? If not, something must change. Either change actions to match values, or admit those aren't really your values and identify what actually is. The sustainable pace. Many people pursue success at unsustainable pace. They work constantly. They sacrifice sleep. They ignore health. They burn out. They might achieve their goal, but they destroy themselves doing it. This isn't winning without losing yourself. This is winning while destroying yourself. You achieve the goal, but you're broken, exhausted, unhealthy, unable to enjoy what you achieved because you sacrificed too much getting there. You need sustainable pace, a pace you can maintain long-term. Not maximum pace you can handle for 3 months before collapsing. A pace that allows for sleep, health, relationships, recovery. A pace that doesn't require destroying yourself. This might mean success takes longer. That's fine, because unsustainable pace doesn't actually get you there faster. It gets you burned out. Then you quit. Or you achieve the goal but can't sustain it because you're exhausted. Marathon runners don't sprint. They pace themselves for distance. You should too. This is a long game. You need to be able to play long term. Sprint pace burns you out before you reach significant success. Find your sustainable pace. Work hard but not destructively. Push yourself, but not past recovery capacity. Challenge yourself, but maintain fundamentals. Sleep, health, relationships. This is how you win long term without destroying yourself short term. The regular recalibration. You can't maintain alignment passively. Life pushes you off course. Opportunities pull you in different directions. Pressures make you compromise. You need regular recalibration. Regular checking. Am I still on the right path? Am I still who I want to be? Most people don't do this. They get caught up in momentum. They're moving fast. Too fast to stop and check if they're going the right direction. Then years later they realize, I'm successful at something I don't care about. I'm living a life I didn't choose. I'm someone I don't respect. Prevent this with regular recalibration. At least quarterly. Stop. Evaluate. Am I living according to my values? Am I proud of who I'm being? Are my actions aligned with what matters to me? Am I winning or am I losing myself? If answers are good, continue. If answers are concerning, adjust. This is course correction. This is how you stay on track. This is how you prevent waking up one day having won the wrong game. Recalibration isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's checking your compass. It's making sure you're still going where you actually want to go. Do it regularly. Stay aligned. Win the right game. Taking action now. Action 1. Write down your non-negotiable values. What will you not compromise regardless of opportunity or pressure? Be specific. These are your lines. Action 2. Conduct integrity audit. Is there anything you're currently doing that you'd be ashamed of if revealed? If yes, stop doing it, regardless of benefit. Action 3. Evaluate relationship investment. Who matters most to you? How much quality time have you given them recently? Schedule specific, meaningful time this week. Action 4. Check values alignment. List your top 5 values. For each, ask, do my actual time and energy allocations reflect this value? If not, what needs to change? Action 5. Assess your current pace. Is it sustainable long term? If not, what needs to adjust? Make one change this week toward more sustainable pace. Win without losing yourself. Succeed while maintaining integrity. Achieve while keeping what matters. This is the only success worth having. Conclusion. Your life, your manual. You've read the manual. You understand the principles. You see how life actually works. Now comes the part that matters, application. Because everything you've read means nothing without action. Understanding isn't enough. Agreement isn't enough. Inspiration isn't enough. Only implementation changes your life. Only doing what you now know creates different results. The gap between knowing and doing. Most people will read this, agree with it, and do nothing. They'll nod along with every principle. They'll recognize themselves in every problem. They'll understand what they need to change, and then they'll change nothing. Why? Because knowing what to do is easy. Doing what you know is hard. Knowing requires nothing. Doing requires everything. It requires change, discomfort, discipline, courage, and sustained effort. Most people aren't willing to pay that price, so they know what they should do. But they don't do it, and nothing changes. They're experts on principles they don't apply. They understand life deeply, but live it poorly. They have knowledge without results. Don't be them. You have the manual. Use it, not as entertainment, as instructions, as actual guidance for how to operate your life. The implementation plan. You can't implement everything at once. Trying to change everything simultaneously is how people fail and quit. You need an implementation plan, a deliberate strategy for applying these principles progressively. Start with one area. Pick the chapter that resonated most, or the area of life that needs most attention. Focus there first. Master one area before moving to another. Within that area, pick one principle, one specific thing to implement. Make it concrete. Make it measurable. Make it something you can do daily. Then do it for 30 days minimum. Let it become habit before adding more. Once that's solid, add another. Stack principles. Build systems. Create compounding improvement. But start with one. Master it. Then add more. Most people try to do everything. Change everything. Fix everything. They last a week. Then quit. Then nothing changes. Better to implement one thing successfully than to try implementing 10 things and fail at all of them. The daily practice. These principles need to become daily practice. Not things you think about occasionally. Things you do repeatedly until they become who you are. This means daily rituals. Morning routine. Evening routine. Weekly reviews. Monthly assessments. Quarterly recalibrations. Systems that keep you aligned with principles. Systems that prevent drift. Most people have no systems. They just react to life. They operate on autopilot. They drift. And they wonder why they never make progress. Because without systems, intention doesn't matter. You need structure that makes right choices default. Build daily practice around these principles. What will you do every day to stay aligned? What systems will keep you on track? What rituals will reinforce these principles? Create them. Follow them. Let them compound. The accountability structure. You need accountability. Not because you're weak. Because humans are social creatures who perform better with external accountability. Even if you're self-disciplined. This could be a partner, a friend, a coach, a mastermind group. Someone who knows your goals and checks your progress. Someone who calls you out when you're off track. Someone who celebrates when you're succeeding. Most people try to do everything alone. They think accountability is weakness. It's not. It's strategy. People with accountability achieve more than people without it. This is data. Use it. Find someone. Tell them what you're working on. Give them permission to hold you accountable. Check in regularly. Report progress. This increases success probability dramatically. The long game. This is a lifetime practice, not a one-time fix. You don't implement these principles once, and then you're done. You practice them daily, for years, forever. Life isn't a problem to solve. It's a game to play. These principles are how you play well. But you have to keep playing. Keep practicing. Keep refining. Some days you'll execute well. Some days you'll fail. Some periods you'll be aligned. Some periods you'll drift. That's normal. That's life. What matters is the overall trajectory. Are you generally getting better? Generally more aligned? Generally more capable? If yes, you're winning. If no, adjust. But measure over months and years, not days and weeks. This is long game. Play accordingly. The choice. You're standing at a decision point. You can close this manual and go back to operating without principles. Wing it. Hope things work out. Make the same mistakes most people make. Get the same results most people get. Or you can take this seriously. Implement these principles. Live according to what actually works instead of what you wish worked. Build a life based on reality instead of hope. One path is comfortable, requires nothing, changes nothing, leads nowhere. The other path is uncomfortable, requires everything, changes everything, leads somewhere worth going. You choose. Right now. Not later. Not when conditions are perfect. Not when you feel ready. Now. What will you do with what you know? The moment of decision. This is the moment that determines everything. Not the moment you started reading. Not the moment you finished. This moment. The moment you decide whether to act or not. Most people miss this moment entirely. They read. They learn. They understand. They close the book. They go back to life. Nothing changes. They had the moment of decision and let it pass without deciding. That's still a decision. It's a decision to stay the same. You can't unchoose. Inaction is a choice. Doing nothing is choosing nothing. Going back to old patterns is choosing old results. You're making a decision right now, whether you realize it or not. The question is, are you making it consciously? Most people operate on autopilot. They never consciously choose their path. They just default to what's comfortable, what's familiar, what requires no change. And they wonder why their life doesn't change. Because they never chose to change it. This is your moment. The moment between knowing and doing. The moment between understanding and implementation. The moment that separates people who transform from people who just consume information. You can feel this moment. It's the slight discomfort, the resistance, the voice saying, I'll start tomorrow, or I'm not ready yet, or this won't work for me anyway. That voice is fear. Fear of change. Fear of discomfort. Fear of failure. Fear of actually becoming who you could be. That fear is normal. Everyone feels it. The difference between people who change and people who don't isn't the presence of fear. It's what they do with it. Some people let fear make the decision. They choose comfort. They stay safe. They stay the same. Others feel the fear and choose anyway. They choose to be uncomfortable. They choose to change. They choose to become more. Not because they're braver. Because they value growth more than comfort. They value becoming more than staying. They value results more than ease. Which are you? You're about to find out. The two paths clearly defined. Let's be explicit about what you're actually choosing between. Not abstract concepts. Concrete realities. Path 1. The default path. You close this manual. You go back to life. You don't implement anything. You operate the way you've always operated. You make the same choices you've always made. You follow the same patterns you've always followed. In 6 months, you're in the same place. Maybe slightly worse because 6 months older with 6 months less time to build what you want. You're still trading time for money. Still in relationships that don't fulfill you. Still without clear direction. Still optimizing for comfort. Still letting environment control you. In 5 years, you've drifted further from who you could have been. You're still making okay money, but not wealthy. You're still somewhat comfortable, but not fulfilled. You're still getting by, but not thriving. You look back and wish you'd started 5 years ago, but you didn't. And now 5 more years are gone. In 20 years, you're full of regret. You had the information. You knew what to do. You just didn't do it. And now 20 years are gone. Time you can't get back. Opportunities you missed. Person you could have been but didn't become. Because you chose comfort over growth. Easy over meaningful. Familiar over transformative. This is path 1. It's the path most people take. It's comfortable. It's safe. It's familiar. It leads nowhere you actually want to go. Path 2, the applied path. You finish this manual and immediately implement. You pick one chapter, one principle, one specific action. You do it today. You commit to 30 days. You track it. You make it non-negotiable. In 6 months, you're noticeably different. You've mastered one principle and added others. You're thinking differently, acting differently, getting different results. You've built momentum. You have evidence that this works. You have confidence from keeping commitments to yourself. In 5 years, you're unrecognizable. You've implemented most principles. You understand money, and you're building wealth. You have strong relationships because you invested in them. You have meaningful work that matters to you. You're healthy because you made it priority. You're growing consistently because you built systems that compound. You look back grateful you started 5 years ago. In 20 years, you're living the life you designed. You have freedom because you built assets. You have connection because you maintained relationships. You have meaning because you contributed to things larger than yourself. You have fulfillment because you lived according to your values. You have zero regret because you took action when it mattered. This is path 2. It's uncomfortable. It's uncertain. It's demanding. It leads everywhere you actually want to go. These are your options. These are the only options. You can't choose a third path where you get path 2 results without path 2 effort. Doesn't exist. You get what you choose. Choose consciously. The compound effect of this choice. This feels like one choice. It's not. This choice compounds into thousands of choices. Because this choice determines what you do tomorrow. What you do tomorrow determines what you do next week. What you do next week determines what you do next month. Each choice builds on the previous ones. If you choose path 1 today, you'll probably choose path 1 tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Each day makes it easier to keep choosing path 1. Each day makes it harder to switch to path 2. You build momentum towards staying the same. You compound in action. If you choose path 2 today, you'll more likely choose path 2 tomorrow. Not because you're suddenly different, because you'll have evidence from today that you can do this. That evidence makes tomorrow easier, which creates more evidence, which makes the next day easier. You build momentum toward growth. You compound action. This is why starting is so critical. Not because day 1 creates massive results, because day 1 creates momentum, and momentum compounds. Small actions today create slightly easier actions tomorrow, which create easier actions next week, which create habit within months, which creates identity within years. People who've transformed their lives didn't become different people. They made one different choice, then another, until different choices became their default, until new patterns became who they are, until path 2 became easier than path 1. But it starts with one choice. This choice, the choice you're making right now. This choice determines whether you start building positive momentum or continue building negative momentum. Both compound. Choose wisely. The accountability to yourself. Here's what nobody tells you. The most important accountability isn't to others. It's to yourself. Can you trust yourself? Can you rely on yourself? Can you count on yourself to do what you said you'd do? Most people can't. They tell themselves they'll do something. They don't do it. They tell themselves they'll change. They don't change. They make commitments to themselves and break them constantly. Their word to themselves means nothing. This destroys self-respect. How can you respect someone whose word is worthless? You can't. And that someone is you. You don't respect yourself because you've proven you can't be trusted. You say things to yourself and don't follow through. You make promises to yourself and break them. You commit to things and abandon them. This has to stop. Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you have. If you can't trust yourself, you're lost. If your word to yourself means nothing, everything falls apart. You need to rebuild that trust. You need to prove to yourself that you're someone who does what they say. This moment is where that starts. Make this choice. Make it consciously. Make it seriously. Then follow through. Do what you decided to do. Keep your word to yourself. Prove you're trustworthy. Prove you're someone who acts on decisions. Prove you're not just another person who learns, but never implements. This isn't about being perfect. This is about being reliable. To yourself. For yourself. You don't need to implement everything flawlessly. You need to implement something consistently. Show yourself you can be counted on. Build that trust. Everything else follows from that foundation. The next 24 hours. Forget the long term for a moment. Let's focus on what actually matters. The next 24 hours. What are you going to do in the next 24 hours that's different from what you would have done before reading this? Nothing. Then this was just entertainment. You consumed information. You didn't change. You're the same person who started reading this. The manual was wasted on you. Something? Then what specifically? Not vague intentions. Specific actions. What will you do? When will you do it? How will you know you did it? This is the test. Not what you do in a year. What you do in the next 24 hours. Because if you won't do anything in the next 24 hours, you won't do anything in a year. If this isn't important enough to act on immediately, it's not important enough to act on ever. Most people think, I'll start Monday, or I'll begin next month, or I'll implement this when things calm down. This is postponement. This is avoidance. This is choosing path 1 while pretending you might choose path 2 later. You won't. If you're not willing to do something today, you're not willing to do it. The next 24 hours determines everything. Not because 24 hours creates transformation, because 24 hours creates momentum. And momentum determines whether you stay on path 2 or drift back to path 1. So decide right now. What's the one action you're taking in the next 24 hours? Write it down. Commit to it. Schedule it. Make it happen. This is where implementation begins. Not with perfect planning, with immediate action. Final the choice. You're standing at a crossroads. 2 paths. 2 futures. 1 choice. Today. Path 1, comfortable. Safe. Leads nowhere. You drift. You hope. You stay the same. In 10 years, you're full of regret. You had the manual. You knew what to do. You just didn't do it. Path 2, uncomfortable. Demanding. Leads everywhere you want to go. You implement. You act. You become. In 10 years, you're proud of who you became. You took the uncommon path. You did the work. Most people choose path 1 without choosing. They just default to comfort. They consume information, but never implement. They know what to do, but never do it. They drift for decades and wonder why nothing changes. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to force you to change. Nobody's going to build your life for you. This is entirely on you. Implementation is everything. Action is everything. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is crossed through action. Only action. Nothing else works. You have the manual. You know the principles. The only question, will you walk the path? Make your declaration. I choose path 2. I choose action over intention. I choose growth over comfort. Starting today. Starting now. Most people will do nothing. Be the exception. Close this manual. Take 1 action. Begin the path. Now go.